Ask yourself why Filipinos can build the future in someone else's country but can't even catch a break in their own? Why the same hands that build Dubai's skyline, heal London's hospitals, and power California's tech labs can't find a decent paying job in Manila without kissing someone's ass? Yeah, let's talk about that. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. It's not the Filipino that's broken, it's the system that keeps us crawling while pretending to clap for us. We send the world our best, and what do we get in return? Applause and empty promises. If you're interested in this topic, hit the like button, subscribe, and type interested in the comments, and I will give you a heart. Let's stop pretending this is about laziness. Filipinos are not lazy. We're not allergic to success. We're allergic to corruption. We're allergic to empty promises. We're allergic to a government that claps for OFW sending billions back home while doing absolutely nothing to make them want to stay. Here's the cold truth. The Philippines isn't poor because its people are dumb or weak. The Philippines is poor because it keeps rewarding the wrong people. You got geniuses driving taxis, engineers waiting tables, teachers cleaning houses overseas, while people who can't even spell leadership are sitting in air-conditioned offices making laws they don't understand. And the sad part? We've gotten used to it. We laugh about it, make memes about it, and call it Pinoy humor, but deep down, it's not funny, it's tragic, because humor has become our survival mechanism for injustice. Every Filipino family has at least one person working abroad, not because they want to, but because they have to. Because the system inside the country pushes its best people out. It's like having a house with gold buried under it, but you keep renting out the lawn. And here's where it gets ugly. The world knows how hard-working Filipinos are. Other countries are literally begging us to come work for them. Why? Because they can see our potential better than our own leaders can. You've got Japan saying we need Filipino nurses, the UK saying we need Filipino caregivers, Saudi Arabia saying we need Filipino workers. But when a Filipino wants to open a small business back home, what does he get? Bureaucracy, red tape, and 10 different signatures from people who never even read his proposal. And you want to know what's really killing progress? The fact that we celebrate survival more than success. We call it discarte, that creative way Filipinos make things work even when the system doesn't, like tying a broken car bumper with rope or using a fan to cool a refrigerator. That's not discarte. That's desperation dressed up as innovation. And the government loves it because as long as you keep finding ways to survive, they never have to fix anything. But let's talk about something deeper, the mentality problem. We've been programmed to believe that success equals leaving. You graduate college and your relatives ask, so when are you going abroad? It's not even about dreams anymore, it's about escape. Escape from low wages, escape from unreliable systems, escape from the idea that to live comfortably, you have to live elsewhere. That mindset, that's our biggest enemy because the more we believe we can only thrive outside, the less we demand change inside. Let me say this clearly. The Filipino brain doesn't lack talent, it lacks trust. Trust in leadership, trust in fair systems, trust that the rules apply equally to everyone. We've seen too many honest people lose because they didn't have connections. Too many brilliant ideas die because someone richer stole the credit. Too many dreamers give up because the system was built like a treadmill. You're always running, but you never move forward. Now let me be blunt. This isn't about politics. It's about accountability. The Philippines has been developing for over 70 years. Developing like some never-ending construction site. At this point, we're not developing, we're stuck buffering. The potential is there. The problem is potential doesn't feed families. You can't eat potential, you can't pay rent with potential. But what do? We send our most brilliant minds abroad and call it success, and the world applauds because they benefit. But here's the irony. If all those people stayed and were given the right opportunities, the Filipino wouldn't be developing, it would be leading. So why isn't it? Because the system isn't built for progress, it's built for control. You ever notice how every time someone tries to challenge the status quo, they get silenced, mocked, or called arrogant? That's not coincidence, that's conditioning. We were raised to stay humble, but they forgot to teach us that humility shouldn't mean silence. We were raised to respect authority, but they never taught us to question it when it fails us. Filipinos abroad are thriving not because foreign countries are better, but because those countries work. When you show up on time, you get paid on time. When you work hard, you get promoted. When you innovate, you get rewarded. Simple fairness. Back home, you can work your soul out for years, and someone who just joined with the right surname or godfather will get promoted before you. And we wonder why people leave. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't a rant against the Philippines. This is a wake-up call for the Philippines, because every time another Filipino leaves, we lose not just a worker, we lose a dream, a mentor, a potential leader. And you know what's worse? We've normalized it so much that we've stopped being angry about it. When something doesn't work, we say, "Kanu talaga." When a system fails us, we shrug and say, "Wala tayong magawa." But we do have a choice to stop normalizing what's broken and start demanding what's right. Because if the same Filipino can thrive under fair systems abroad, then the problem isn't the Filipino, it's the soil he's forced to grow in. So maybe the real question isn't why can't Filipinos thrive at home? Maybe the question is who benefits from making sure we don't? Think about it. And if you've ever felt frustrated watching brilliant Filipinos leave because their country couldn't see their worth, then type enough in the comments, because enough of being the world's workers. It's time to become our own nation's priority. Here's where it gets painful and real. The reason Filipinos can't thrive at home isn't just politics. It's not just corruption or poverty, it's conditioning. We've been programmed generation after generation to believe that getting by is the same as doing well. You know that line, "At least may trabajo"? That's not gratitude, that's surrender. It's what people say when they've accepted less than what they deserve. And you hear it everywhere, from the janitor pulling double shifts just to pay rent, to the teacher with a master's degree selling longanisa on weekends because her salary barely covers transportation. The sad part, we call it resilience. But you know what resilience becomes when you stop demanding more? Compliance. We've turned Tiaslang, just endure it, into a national lifestyle. We endure bad governance, we endure low pay, we endure broken promises, we even endure hope itself. And that's the scariest part. And every time someone dares to want more, they get labeled mayabang, arrogant, out of place, too ambitious. Filipino culture has a twisted way of keeping its best people small. Through guilt, magpasalamat ka na lang. Wag kang choosy. Madamadi diyan walang trabaho. Yeah, and madamadiyan walang respeto. What's your point? Let's be real. We've created a culture where ambition feels like rebellion. If you stand out, they'll say you've changed. If you stay humble, they'll walk all over you. It's like no matter what you do, you lose. Meanwhile, the same system that underpays you keeps telling you to believe in the Filipino dream, the same dream that only seems to work for the powerful, the privileged, and the connected. And here's the funny part. Other countries love that about us. They love that Filipinos are loyal, hardworking, and humble. You know why? Because it makes us easy to hire and hard to complain. We've been trained to thank the world for crumbs when we deserve the cake. The world says Filipinos have great work ethic. Translation, you'll do 3 people's jobs for the price of 1. The reason Filipinos thrive abroad isn't magic, it's management, it's accountability, it's systems that work. If you show up on time, you get paid on time. If you do great work, you get promoted. If you're wronged, you have rights. It's not that simple back home. You can work like a beast, give your life to a company, and the minute you ask for fair pay, they'll say, "Ang dami diyan gustong pumalit sa." You know what that's called? Fear management. Keep people scared of losing what little they have, and they'll never demand what they truly deserve. And that's exactly what's been happening. The Philippines doesn't need to chain you to poverty, it just needs to convince you that it's normal. Let's talk about opportunity. In a country full of talent, why is it that only a few ever make it big? Because in the Philippines, it's not what you know, it's who you know. You can have the skills of a CEO, but if you don't have a last name that sounds like old money or political royalty, you're going nowhere. The system wasn't designed to reward effort. It was designed to reward loyalty. That's why bright young Filipinos leave, not because they hate their country, but because they love themselves enough to look for a place that values them. And before anyone says, "Kung mahal mo ang bansa mo, magstay ka," spare me the guilt trip. Love doesn't mean staying in a toxic relationship. Love sometimes means leaving until it's safe to come back. Filipinos abroad aren't running away. They're running toward a version of life that actually makes sense. One where hard work equals progress. One where dignity isn't luxury. One where you don't have to sell your soul for stability. And that's what hurts the most. foremost. The world knows our worth before we do. We've built other nations, raised their children, cared for their sick, powered their industries, and yet, in the Philippines, a teacher can't afford to send her own kid to school. A nurse can't afford the hospital insurance. That's not resilience. That's injustice in disguise. And here's the kicker. We're told to be proud of it. We're told that our sacrifices make us heroes. But tell me this, what kind of hero has to beg for a fair wage? What kind of hero gets taxed to death and thanked with slogans instead of solutions? Let me tell you something. You can't eat pride. You can't retire on resilience. You can't build a future on utang na loob. What you need is a system that doesn't make you choose between feeding your family and staying with them. What you need is leadership that rewards hard work, not hard connections. But until that happens, the great Filipino trap continues. A country full of the most capable people on earth surviving in a place that refuses to let them thrive. And here's the punchline. We're the only ones who can break it, because the moment Filipinos realize their power, this whole system collapses. The moment you stop settling for plead na and start demanding tama na, everything shifts. So here's my challenge to you watching right now. Stop apologizing for wanting more. Stop calling your ambition arrogance, and stop thanking people for giving you what you already earned. If you agree that Filipinos deserve better, not just abroad, but at home, type respect in the comments right now. Because this isn't just about changing the system, it's about waking up before another generation gets trained to smile through struggle and call it pride. Now let's get brutally honest, because the truth hurts more than poverty itself. The Philippines doesn't lack talent, we lack trust. Not in each other, but in the belief that this country can ever change. You feel it, don't you? That quiet hopelessness every time you see another politician's face on a billboard promising the same recycled lies. That sigh you let out when a jeepney driver works 16 hours a day just to buy sardines for dinner. That feeling that no matter how hard you work, life just doesn't move. And what's worse, we've learned to laugh about it. We make memes, we joke about corruption, we share videos of flooded streets like it's entertainment. But deep down, it's pain disguised as humor. The only way we know how to survive in a country that keeps testing our limits. Do you ever notice that? Filipinos can make a joke out of anything. Electricity bills, gas prices, traffic, even politics. It's our coping mechanism. But here's the twist. When laughter becomes survival, progress dies. Because if everything becomes okay lang, then nothing ever gets fixed. Let me tell you something that'll piss some people off. The Philippines doesn't need more prayers. It needs accountability. It doesn't need more slogans like proud to be Pinoy. It needs systems that don't punish people for being honest. Because let's face it, in this country, if you follow the rules, you get left behind. The sad part, every Filipino knows this, but most are too tired to fight it. Because fighting means risking the little comfort you already have. That's the trap. They exhaust you until rebellion feels like luxury. And that's what I say this, the Filipino doesn't need saving, the Filipino needs awakening. You can send us abroad, you can overwork us, you can underpay us, but you'll never erase the brilliance in our DNA. Look around the world. Filipinos are running hospitals in the UK, managing billion-dollar ships, leading NASA teams, writing code in Silicon Valley, and teaching English to children from Tokyo to Toronto. And yet, back home, some of those same people would have been stuck in jobs that paid less than minimum wage. It's not that Filipinos changed when they left, is that the system around them did. So let me make this clear. It's not the people who are broken, it's the design. The Philippines was built to export excellence, not reward it. We celebrate our OFWs as modern day heroes, but when they come home, they're greeted with a broken airport, higher taxes, and politicians taking credit for their remittances. We treat our best exports like trophies, not humans. And that, my friends, is why progress feels like a dream we keep waking up from. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the Philippines. I love its warmth, its humor, its people. But love isn't silence. Real love calls out what's wrong because it wants better. The same way you tell a friend, bro, you need to get your life together, that's what I'm telling my country right now. Get your life together. We can't keep exporting our greatness while importing failure. We can't call ourselves a nation of heroes if the heroes have to leave just to survive. You know what the craziest part is? The rest of the world knows this. That's why they're panicking to keep Filipinos. Because once we stop leaving, once we start demanding that our brilliance be rewarded at home, their systems start shaking. They depend on us more than we depend on them. Let me drop a stat for you. In 2024, overseas Filipino workers sent home over $38 billion, 0 cents in remittances. That's more than the GDP of 90 countries. Imagine if half of that stayed here, reinvested, recirculated, reimagined. We wouldn't need foreign investors. We'd be the investors. But that will only happen when we finally stop calling mediocrity normal, when we start treating education as an opportunity, not an ornament, when leaders start working for people instead of their campaigns, when being honest stops feeling like rebellion. Here's what's coming, whether the world likes it or not: a Filipino awakening, a generation that's done apologizing for dreaming big, a generation that's tired of exporting talent and importing disappointment, a generation that's ready to rebuild this country the way it should have been built decades ago, on fairness, opportunity, and respect. And don't let anyone tell you it's impossible. Every revolution started as a whisper. Every great change began with people who were just done pretending things were fine. If you're watching this right now, I'm not asking you to march in the streets or start a war. I'm asking you to wake up, to question everything you were taught about what's normal in the Philippines, to stop clapping for crumbs and start building your own table. Because the moment Filipinos realize they've been the backbone of the world all along, we stop being labor and start becoming legacy. So if you believe that the next decade belongs to us, if you believe Filipinos aren't just survivors but world changers, then comment "Rise" below. Because we're done waiting for permission. The new Philippines doesn't ask for respect, it commands it.